This episode is brought to you by Indeed. Stop waiting around for the perfect candidate. Instead, use Indeed sponsored jobs to find the right people with the right skills fast. It's a simple way to make sure your listing is the first candidates see. According to Indeed data, sponsored jobs have 4 times more applicants than non-sponsored jobs. So go build your dream team today with Indeed. Get a $75 sponsored job credit at Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply.
Every sip of Coca-Cola brings you closer to the excitement of the FIFA World Cup 26. Because nothing compares to the joy. So grab a Coke and drink in the FIFA World Cup 26. No purchase necessary. 13 plus in 50 U.S. states and D.C. with a web-enabled device. Ends March 1st with 8 entry periods. Rules at cokeurl.com/soccer rules.
All right, everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Bowhunter Chronicles podcast, brought to you by Huntworth. Huntworth gear for all types of weather, all types of terrain, all types of budgets. It's clothing that just works. Check them out at huntworthgear.com. And there is still time to get in on their winter clearance event, 20 to 50% off everything on the site over there at huntworthgear.com. Get over there, check it out. That sale is going on through February 15th. So get over there, check that out. And then, again, Latitude still has their outlet open. Profile platform pocket, knee pads, dump pouches, all sorts of different stuff on there. Prices reduced, but they are currently at the Harrisburg Great American Outdoor Show. They are booth 1140 in the Archery Hall. I am... if you're listening to this, I'm there. If you're listening to this in real time, so stop by, see us. Myself, Greg Litzinger is going to be there, in and out. D-Rock, Chase, and the boys. Jake, I believe, is going to be there. Stop by, see us. Always a good time. Great show. Stop by, say hi, and come see us over there in the Archery Hall. Today's podcast is a guy that I've been dealing with for quite some time, and we've done a lot of podcasts, done a lot of back and forth ideas, all sorts of stuff, and he's kind of taken the Patreon, the group, the Marco Polo to the next level, and is moved on to a digital deer camp. And it's kind of, we've seen things like Go Wild and some other things come and go in the outdoor space, but they're like doubling down on the Patreon group, the Marco Polo, that sort of relationship building that we've kind of found, the community that we found through podcasting and all of that, and done it through like Discord and things like that, and fun podcast beyond just what we're talking about here. Lots of stuff about mindset in the woods, kind of like what you're looking for going out there as far as like your intentions. Like, should you be intentional or aspirational? Is it about the end or the journey? Somewhat philosophical on it. Fun conversation, because we have so much history, a lot of ball busting, and I know you guys are going to enjoy this episode. As always, thanks for listening. Stop by if you're in Pennsylvania, Harrisburg, at the Great American Outdoor Show. Come see us in the Archery Hall. As always, thanks for listening. All right, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Bowhunter Chronicles podcast. And this guy he may as well be freaking AI, because I have talked to this guy for 10 years. 10 years. He's about half my age. I think when I think he was in high school when I first reached out to him and said, hey, should I do a podcast? He was like, nope, don't do it. Stay out of my space. Stay out of my wheelhouse. And then here he is. He's Kyle quit the band. He stopped. He's cashed in his headphones and moving on to something else. But we'll get to that in a bit. We have Mr. I mean, even if he is real, because I've never met him, Walter Lee. How you doing today, sir?
I'm good, buddy. I'm good. I'll never live down the fact that I told you just not to do a podcast. For everybody who's like your birth year started it with a 2, you don't know a world where podcasting wasn't a thing, but the rest of us do. And there was this really weird boom that happened, and it went from being where you could have a lot of fun and be easily discoverable to everybody with realize that Amazon could send you a mic, and so never gonna live it down, buddy. But you know what? Kudos to you. You vastly surpassed. That was surpassed and superseded together. You surpassed me to the point where I just quit. You just forced me out of the game entirely.
Well, prior to recording this, you got like a peek into my brain about how I just don't care about a lot of stuff, and I just say, well, I'm going to do this my way, and if you don't like it, then I don't care. So that's just the way that it's going to go. Yeah. On whatever scale. But yeah, so you're down in Florida. What's the temperature there? Because I want to kind of go through some of that right now.
It is a winter wonderland. It hit a real feel of 8 2 days ago. No, not even 2 days ago. 24 hours ago. And I had to cash in my flip-flops for sneakers. It got so cold. But here I am. I am wearing a brand new Savage Firearms hoodie and shorts and flip-flops again. And so it was brief. It was frigid. We've had 13 days this year in the 20s for lows. So I'm living my best life right now. But this is definitely what you would consider spring, I think.
Well, we were talking about this the other day, and I want to get into some of your cold weather tricks, because I think it's good, for hearing from someone who doesn't do the cold all the time, to kind of see how you weather the storm, so to speak. But I thought of you today because one of the guys at work went outside on his break, and he came back in, and he wasn't wearing a coat. He didn't have boots on. He didn't have a hat on. He didn't have gloves on. He was outside for 20 minutes. And one of the other people that I was working with was like, "You were outside without a coat, blah, 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 blah." And he's like, "I mean, it's 21 degrees out and sunny. Like, it's not that bad." And I was just like, that is a legitimately, I mean, people were coming in all day and being like, "Oh, it's so nice out today. Have you been outside? Like, it's sunny, and it's still, a dozen degrees just about below freezing, but it's a great day."
Yeah. I think that you guys are definitely experiencing the worst of what winter is. There's some people down the street that they're from Wisconsin. They have a house down here just because they want to get away. And I talk to you and I quickly understand why. Like, that sucks, what you guys deal with. Because, listen, I talk a big game. I love cold weather. But at the end of the day, I like some warm weather too. I just don't want to be there, nonstop.
Yeah, and Mother Nature this year called our bluff, I feel like, because at the end of the day, I always say, for us, the past, I don't know, 5 years, winter has come in spurts. I mean, it was last year or 2 years ago, we had damn near a foot of snow on Halloween. And then so much so that the kids couldn't trick or treat. It was legit snow. Yeah. And then it goes away, and then it'll snow, and then it'll go away. And it's just this back and forth. And it's like, you just pick one. Well, this year it chose violence. And it was just snow on snow on snow on snow on snow on snow. And it's like, okay, choose the other one, I guess, or just be, this is like when we were kids, this is what winter used to be like. And we haven't had like quote unquote a real winter in some time. And, yeah, it's not awesome. The temperature isn't bad. It's the snow. It's just like the volume of snow, like the amount of extra work that it brings. And like there was like extra hunting seasons. It's like, okay, next week I'm gonna go hunting, and like I'm gonna take advantage of this last week. And it was like we got 2 feet of snow, and it was like -22. And like I would consider myself like somewhat hardcore, quote unquote, but like. There's no way. Like I would say that the deer aren't moving. So, and there's no way I'm just going to go out and just try and track one down or find one that's hunkered under a bush. Like, I don't think that that's like a viable option, you know?
Right. I don't know how you guys do it. Like, I don't know what y'all do, but also at the same time, I feel like it opens up so many opportunities for y'all. Like, I think about like shed hunting. Like I think one of the biggest reasons why we don't get to shed hunt around here is not just because it's super thick, but also like there's so much green and stuff out there to like hide stuff. And when I see you guys out there doing your promo reels for Huntsworth and Vortex and everything, it's like, of course an antler stands out to you because there's nothing but brown sticks vertically, and then you find something that does this and it's an antler, you know? And it also, I think, induces y'all's deer to like actually drop their antlers with some degree of consistency. So I'm kind of jealous. I feel like you guys kind of have it made.
Well, I'm not a very good shed hunter. I think last year was the best year that I've ever had. I think I got 6 or 7 or something like that. And I did get a small batch set, and I got one giant antler. So that was cool. But I think one thing that's neat, I mean, as you get into like that kind of like melt, you get to see the very defined trails as to where they're going, and you could just follow those. And, it's always cool to just find one laying right there in the middle of the trail. Like, I mean, I'm always like in disbelief. And especially if it's like somewhere that I know I found one a couple years back where it was like a year-old antler. Like it was like and it sat out in the sun for a while. And I had walked by there a dozen times, and it was just laying on top of the grass. Like I know for a fact that I had walked past there time and time again. And it's just the most frustrating thing, but it's like, consolation prize, I guess.
So if you had to, because this is the season of like, introspection, right? So if you had to look back on this year and put it from a 1 to a 10, 110, like a 10 is you shot a 180 and Sydney Sweeney was your camera woman, to like 1 having to hunt in Florida. Where does it land for you in hindsight?
Man, I don't know. I would say it's probably like a 6 or 7. I mean, I had a fun season. It was good. Like very, somewhat like disappointed in myself. But like our group, like the guys that we've put together for like the Rome guys, it had so much fun. Killed a lot of animals. Our Patreon hunt was bananas. Like so much fun. I ended up shooting that bear. Had to wild hunt in Kansas, like just nuts. We shot a doe in the UP. That was cool. Missed a buck 3 times in the same sit. Like, yeah. Interesting.
It's a good year, man.
Yeah. Yeah.
You will have many more that were worse than that.
Yeah. Yeah. But, it's why I say, like, for me, like, I can't get, like, over the hump, right? Like, and that's me. That's my own, like, I feel like I need to go to, like, a hypnotist or something. Like, to be, like, you forget all of your hunting spots. Like, forget anywhere that you've ever hunted and pretend like you're out of state. And you have to look at a map as fresh, and you only have X amount of time, instead of like looking at it as like this big vast area and you're picking and choosing,
Right.
Based on like what you think, that's what I'm doing. And I'm well aware of it. It's, and that's, I think that's the most frustrating part. I mean, it's almost like, it's like the exact same thing as like target panic. Like, exactly what you're doing wrong, but you just can't, you just can't put that pin down. You just can't get it on the target, Same thing. But I wanted, like I said, with the, we'll get back to that. Cause I've got some questions for you about your season and some other things in particular. But I want to go back to that cold weather, because you had told me like your one game changer, and that was something that I hadn't really considered, but it's kind of been top of mind lately. But for you being in, like you said, I had 8 sits or something that were sub 20 degrees or whatever. Mm-hmm. I was wondering, how are you managing the cold?
Not well, if I'm being honest. I was going to try and put on a brave face there, but the reality is not well. I mean, here's the thing. I learn some things every year, right? And one of the things that I think this year definitely became a focal point is I have to work pretty hard to get off the road. The irony in this is that I have killed all of my deer under 100 yards from the road this year, and including the deer in Missouri that I wounded and didn't recover. That was 86 yards off the road, comically. But one of the things that I found this year going into everything was that I'm hunting these high stem count areas that are just chock full of like vines. I mean, just chock full of vines, and it's briars. And so they get caught on absolutely everything. And so one of the things I did this year was like streamline my pack profile to where it was as small as humanly possible. But I'm always going to sweat. Like, I'm just always going to sweat. And the idea of putting on layers, taking off layers, like having multiple layers, it just sucked. And a buddy of mine, Graybeard, he's in our deer camp. He's like, dude, I have a next to skin layer to wick moisture and to, just to stay comfortable. I go in cold. I put on a puffy top, a puffy bottom, and some kind of like soft shell outer. And that's all I need going down into frigid temps. And I was like, yeah, that'll work for like certain temps, right? And then this year I tried it, and I was hunting in a real feel of 15, and I put on an 800-gram puffy jacket, and I put like a wind-breaking soft shell on top of that. Dude, I almost got too hot. And I think that's going to become my go-to moving forward. Like, any temps below, I don't know, let's say 35 and below, it's going to be a zip-on puffy, a soft shell outside, and I'm done. I'm just like, there's no need to take anything else. And it packs down. Like, both of those pack down to like this, And so there's no weight penalty. There's no like size penalty. You get a compression sack and just tighten it on down. So until, I had that revelation. But that's something that you have to have enough cold weather to like F with, right? Like, you have to have enough cold weather to test your system. And that's just hard to come by sometimes.
Yeah, for like that's the one thing. Like, when we first started going out west, and love them or hate them, you can choose. But I was going through like pack dumps. Like, the first year we went out west, and it was like Brunella and Giannis on like one of the meat eater, like one of their early like pack dumps. And they were talking about like the things that they were bringing to Alaska, and they were like, you don't need, like, they said like whitetail guys, they always want to have a jacket and a this and a that.
Yeah.
And it was the same thing. Like, they had a rain jacket, a puffy, and then like a thick merino and then a thin merino.
Yep.
And that was it. And that covered all the bases. And what's funny about that is that's not in the camo, or actually it is camo, but it's like the goofy, stupid urban hipster camo. That's what I've moved into from like my travel setup. Is I have like a real thin merino hoodie. I have a rain jacket, light rain jacket, and then a light puffy. And so like when I'm traveling, same thing. Like, so when I fly anywhere, there's no weight penalty, there's no size penalty, all that stuff. But you know what? If you're going somewhere warm and I'm leaving Michigan, generally it's when it's cold out.
Yep.
I don't want to have a big jacket or a big giant sweatshirt or whatever, so I can kind of layer up with that stuff. And when I get down there, if I need like a light jacket or if I need like a little sweatshirt, I have all these thin things. But it just sort of works out really well. And then, obviously when I go out west, that transitions like perfectly. But, I'd been doing that for quite some time. Not so much in the whitetail woods, other than
elk hunting, right?
Yeah. Other than the puffy, like that's the one thing that like lives in the bottom of my pack, and it's a real like decision of whether I put it on or not. But it's usually like when it's real cold out is when I'll put that on, and I don't. It's not necessarily always one of those decisions where I always like wait too long. Like I'm like, oh man, I'm really cold. I need to put this on. And then it's a big, yard sale up in the tree trying to get stuff off and on and around. And, because you don't want it on the outer layer. So you got to take something off, put it on, whatever. But the puffy I learned long ago. And back in the day, they were the only ones that were available if you did, were $100, $150. And I wasn't going to buy one. So I found like the cheapest, like, most bullshit one
like
that you could. Well, but I didn't want to buy one and have it like not work or not live up to the hype. So I found one at Walmart that was like $12, and I used it for like half a season, and it didn't pack down as nicely, and it wasn't as good of a quality or whatever. But man, did it work! And so that was my like proof of concept. I gave it to my brother-in-law, and he could have kissed me. He was like, "That is the greatest piece of gear ever," and like really, really a solid plan.
Yeah, I think it's interesting because like in Colorado, I knew this to be the case, right? Like I knew this to be the case because I went in 2019. My uncle gave me all this wisdom. They don't even have soft shells; they just have rain jackets. Because the rain jacket's going to cut the wind, and if you have the insulative layer underneath, you're fine, right? So it's even less of a weight penalty. Now, it wouldn't work for deer hunting because you're up in the tree and you don't want to be making all that noise, right? But I think one of the biggest revelations I've had this year is, God, I hate to say this, but I kind of feel like whitetail hunters get over marketed. Like we tend to be kind of the bludgeon for guys who want to sell products, right? You got Acorn Crusher, you got all these different products that sell people hope. Same thing for fishermen. The only difference is I think you could probably catch a fish with just about every color lure that's out there, maybe some are going to be time specific or something. There's some nuance there. Gold and silver, blue, they're always going to work, right? One of those three. But, I'm sitting here and this year I ended up selling a bunch of my camo. I got rid of like heavyweight merino. I don't care about heavyweight merino anymore. I don't need it, right? I've got a 150 and a 250, and the only reason I did that is because I didn't want to buy another 150. But I'm like, if I'm on a week-long trip, having 2 base layers is probably a good idea just for time, right? I had all of these like varying weighted vests and stuff like that. Got rid of them all, and I'm gonna invest in probably the 2.0. I think I'm gonna buy. I think it's 2.0 has a zip off thermal bottom, like insulated. I think that's what I'm gonna invest in next. And dude, like that's gonna be my pack. Like I might go to a stupid lightweight soft shell exterior, just the shell. All I want it to do is be a windbreaking piece of material. And then anything below like 45 or so, like I'll either put a layer on instead of a t-shirt or something. But like I'm just dumbing it down because I went out one day and I had this pack and I've just got just gobs and gobs of stuff like strapped to this pack, and it's like the next to layer skin and the next to skin layer skin and then the thermal layer before the thermal layer, and it's just like all these different things. I'm trying to stack all this weight. I'm like, this just doesn't make sense. But if I took too heavy of a layer, I was always sweating my butt off and then I'd get cold, right? And so I think an uncomfortable truth is that we make this out sometimes to be a lot more involved than it has to be. And now I'm sure there are guys in North Dakota who are out there wearing Sitka, like what's that really high end? I just blanked on it. What's their super warm stuff? Like their thermic or something like that, or some crazy. Maybe that's First Light.
Out of my tax bracket.
Yeah. Okay. Anyways, there are guys who need like extreme insulation. I'm not knocking those. I'm just talking about like the 90% of guys that are done by the end of November, right? Like there is no late season for them. They're either tagged out or burnt out, you know? I think we just need to simplify things. And honestly, that's been my approach the last 2 years, Adam, if I'm being honest with you. 3 years. Started in 2023. I just started simplifying everything. Being in this space, I feel like there was just too much crap up here.
Well, I mean, wouldn't you say that that's the whole thing? I mean,
What do you mean?
I saw somebody.
Just so everybody knows, this is how the phone calls go between me and Adam. Like this could just be a regular phone call.
I saw a Instagram post the other day that I thought like 100% applied to hunting, and I was trying to. I think it could have been like I was trying to think of like something that it would like. I mean, honestly, you could put my bow and another bow in this picture, but there was a picture of a brand new glove, a baseball glove, and a picture of like the exact same glove that was like worn in, broken, brown, you know, all the wrinkles in it. You know, you could tell it'd been through the ringer, and it said the talkers and the doers, right? And I think that applies to the space that we're in incredibly. And like I said, like I've had some bow things go on here recently, but the bow that I've been shooting, you could put, you know, somebody else's bow right here, and you could put a picture of my bow right here, and my bow's seen some things. And you know, I think back on the times where we would talk to people on the podcast and we'd ask them like, you know, what's your bow setup, blah, blah, blah. And there were guys that could tell you everything down to like the grain of their arrow and all this stuff. But you would talk to guys like Joe Retmeister, like Dan Infalt, or, you know, some of these other guys like Warren Womack. Like Warren Womack is my favorite, and he's the guy that I will always lean on in my mind for trad. Because when we asked him about his arrows, he said, none of my arrows are the same. We're like, what? And he goes, I can't shoot that bow well enough that the arrow matters that much anyways. And,
I love that response too.
And, you know, but, you know, some of those guys, they just killed everything. And they just knew that their bow had to hit where it needed to hit at 20 yards. And the time was spent in the woods. The time was spent chasing the deer. The time was spent doing all this stuff. And there's other guys that will tinker with all their stuff. They'll change all their stuff, and they won't spend the time in the woods. And you know, I've said this before, like a lot of times, but like I did a podcast with Cody Rich, and he talked about the guys that would that change their gear so often that they try to control the things that they can control because they can't control the animal. They can't control 100%. The hunt.
Yeah.
And I think that that's what you're talking about. That's where the marketers lean into. It's like, oh, this is going to make it, you know, this is what it's going to be. This is going to be the next thing. Oh, I might need to change this. I might need to change this. And like, once you get out of that, like once you decide like this, well, I guess it's like once you decide that I'm good enough, like it isn't the gear, it's me. Like whether I'm good enough or I'm the problem, like either way, I got to be okay with it. You know, this shit that I'm carrying around, like it's either too much for me or whatever, or it's not. Like I really need it or I don't.
Yeah.
But whatever it is, I got to carry something one way or the other. And if I'm not freezing to death, I probably don't need it. You know.
You know, it's funny to me because like you're right in so many ways, and I think this is such a like a multifaceted thing. Like this isn't just like, You're right, because there are guys that like control what you can control, right? And they can't control whether or not the deer comes out, so they buy gear. I've done it, man. Like I'm not passing judgment on people. When it comes to fishing, I do this all the time because it's so easy, or I used to. You go into Walmart, do your grocery shop, and I'll just swing in there and you see a new color and you're like, and you're aspirational. You're like, maybe bubblegum pink Cincos are gonna be the ticket, right? You know, like but I think there's also if you think about all these old hunters, like you talked about Warren, I think about him and Robert Carter, even Eberhart. Eberhart, you know, he tells you all the time, like, I'm not a very good shot past 20. You're shaking your head, no.
Well, so I'm just in my head, I'm going a completely different direction, because like I was thinking about today, like when we're talking about products, when you're talking about going to Walmart, when you're looking at all the baits, like I was literally, because I'm trying to, outfit this fundraiser thing. So I'm looking at everything that's on clearance, right? You know, and I'm literally like standing in the aisle of all the scent-free stuff that's on sale right now. And the amount of people, especially people that are like, that I talk to that are like, man, you know, I'd really like to get into bow hunting. Like, you guys bow hunt? Like, oh, you know, public land. Like, that's ridiculous. There's no public land around me. Like, Jesus Christ, there's so much public land. Like, you can't even imagine. But like, oh, especially it's so hard. And like, and it's like, so you play or you're worried about your scent, like scent control, right? Like you wash all your stuff. Like I did not wash my clothes one time this year. I didn't, all the scent stuff, like, and again, like, control what you can control. Yeah, I could be completely anal about it, but I think I'm just of the persuasion that, you know what? I don't do anything 100%. Like, so I can't control my scent 100%. Like I'm not perfect in anything. I'm not going to go all in on anything. So there's no freaking way that I'm going to be like control any of it. So if I can't control, if I'm letting a little bit of scent out, then why bother with any of it and just play the wind and, shoot them before they get there,
Well, but I think that's where we're arriving at kind of like the same spot in different ways. And like,
but that's why I was shaking my head about Eberhart, because like, yes, he's maybe not a very good shot past whatever, but like that's a whole nother animal.
Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah. But it's one of those things. Like, I think the idea, and this is where like we have to be careful to get outside of our own minds, right? Into like, this is where for me, priority lists save my butt all the time. Like I will impulse buy stuff all the time. Parker makes fun of me nonstop. I have a list and I tell my money where my money's going. And at the beginning of every season, I go, these are the things I have to have in order to do fill in the blank. If there's money left over, I'll do some of these other things, right? And I think the same thing needs to be said when it comes to resources like time and effort. I'll give you an example of a guy who absolutely whacks deer, but he could tell you exactly the weight of his arrows. It's Andy May. Mm-hmm. Like the guy has got his setup dialed. But the thing is, he chased the dollars before he chased the pennies, right? He was out there glassing, and when he had time to tweak his setup, he worked on tweaking his setup. And I think there's people that flip that order. They're like, it's hot, I'm going to control what I can, and I'm going to tweak my bow. And it's like, bro, no, go find a deer. Like go lay eyes on a buck in velvet. Like if you have those resources available, like you guys in the Midwest, I've been to Kentucky one time, I've been to Missouri the second time. The ability to go out and find a deer there is just such a wild advantage. I'm not saying it's easy to kill big deer. It's not. But like it's a different game out there that boots on the ground has this like weird exponential impact. Which broadhead? Well, if you shoot a mechanical and you hit the shoulder, Bubba, when was the last time you shot a buck? Like, sit down if the conversation isn't, I kill multiple bucks every year, because what broadhead kills a deer? A well-placed arrow. But if you're not in the game, don't worry about the dadgum broadhead, man. Go get inside the game, and when you're in the game consistently, then worry about it. Because at the end of the day, dude, there's not very many broadheads that are going to change anything. But you've got guys spending tanks worth of gas on iron will broadheads, and I'm just like, bro, you don't kill anything. What are you doing? Like you want something. I say this all the time. There are more aspirational people out there than there are dedicated people. The aspirational hunter saves more deer than anything in this country. It's wild to me.
I just want to go back just to clarify I think what you're saying on for Andy, when you're saying like the dollars over the pennies thing, is he's spending all the time to find the deer, and he has, all of this information, all this history, all this everything, and he's put in so much time and he's very, his time is very valuable. Mm-hmm. So he has only so much of it, and he uses it wisely. He is very efficient, but I don't think that's his goal. I mean, I guess it's everybody's goal, but I think he's on limited time, so he has to use it efficiently. Like, I think that's why he's efficient, and that's why he does all the things that he does. And then to bring that back around that's why he places so much onus on making good shots and knowing his equipment, because all the time and all of everything that he put into it, he wants to make sure when the opportunity arises that he's able to capitalize, so that all that other stuff wasn't in vain. Yeah,
100%. I think Andy May is not efficient because he has to be. Andy May is efficient because he's focused in where he applies his time, right? And I would bet cold hard cash that if you said, Andy, you can pick between these two things: tweaking your arrow setup or tweaking your archery setup this year beyond where it is, or knowing that you've got a big bucks patterned like you have in years past. Which of those two are you going to pick? I guarantee you he's not touching his bow setup. Like, if it's your bow is perfect, but you're going into the season with diminished intel, he's going to take the intel 10 out of 10 times. This is kind of like Dave Ramsey. We're kind of having like a Dave Ramsey conversation for time, right? If you don't tell your time where to go, your time will just go where it wants to. It's the same thing with money. If you don't have a budget, it's just going to go wherever you want it to, right? And I think the difference between a lot of people, myself included, I'm not in the right category here. I'm on the wrong side of this. This is why I'm speaking about this with such a passion. We're letting our time just go where it wants to instead of being diligent with it. And I'm willing to bet you that if you compared like his YouTube watch time to the average hunter, it's a hell of a lot less, man.
I don't know. I agree with you.
I'm gonna find out for us.
No, but I agree with you. I'm not saying that when I say I don't know, but I've had this conversation with like other guys. Like, the one that comes to mind is Adam Lewis.
Cool guy.
Even like
he winced
Jacob,
when I said that. Everybody, I said cool guy, and he went, eh.
Well, it's Jacob Sklenner.
Yeah,
same thing. Garrett Prawl.
Yep.
You get these guys with these engineering minds where it isn't a chase, it isn't fun, it isn't maybe it is to them, but it's a frickin' equation that needs to be solved. And that's not it's very much not the way that I approach it, but that's not the way that I would like to approach it either. And would I be more successful? Oh, 100%, I guarantee. If this, then that, A, B, C, D, why, but no, there's no way, if I just want to create spreadsheets, and now do I take some of that information into account? Absolutely. But to just, to make that your whole life. I mean, it's the same thing with like, I just did a podcast. We were just talking about this. I talk about it with, my friends all the time, is like, for podcasts, for YouTube, for reels, for all this stuff, like, you and I both know what to do if I just wanted to just do YouTube for a living. Mm-hmm. But is that what I wanted? Is that who I want to be? Do I want to make content for content's sake? Do I want to, no, absolutely not. Just to say that I just do that for a living. That's my job. Like, no, absolutely not. To be tied to that. The same way that I don't want to just only kill big bucks and that's all I'm concerned about. Like, I don't know. I guess I enjoy sucking at hunting. Let's just put it that way. Like, I enjoy being surprised. I enjoy surprising myself. I enjoy aspiring to get better, all of these things instead of, I guess it's like the difference between like compound archery and traditional archery. Like with compound archery, you expect to make a great shot every time. With traditional archery, when you make a great shot, you're like, holy shit, that was awesome. And then when you don't make some good shots, you're like, oh man, that was a bummer, but like the next one will be great. Like that's the way that I hunt. Like every time I make a good shot is like when I find a good buck or I kill a good buck or something happens. And I think these other guys are like the compound archers where every hunt, it's supposed to be a great one and you're supposed to kill a big buck. And that's why it's fun for me is the inverse, Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think what you're saying is like the hunt is different for each person, right? Yeah, I agree. And like Garrett Prawl, he's a gear guy. Like for him, part of the fun is like solving a problem for him where he goes. Austin, I kind of put Austin Hunter in a similar light there. But I think what I'm speaking to is like a more broad spectrum thing. So like in the state of Georgia, I think it's like 740,000 deer licenses are sold every year. 300,000 deer are killed every year. So that means a third of the guys out there are killing deer every year. It wasn't your bow. I'm willing to bet you that percentage wasn't whether or not you were shooting the latest and greatest arrow, or your rangefinder was 10 years old, or there's a Latitude Method 3 out and I only have the Method 1. But you know what would make a difference? A couple tanks of gas, a little bit of scouting in the summer. I know because the years in which I put the time in, I reap the reward, and then I get slack in the next couple years, and it's just a vicious cycle. And so that's what I'm talking about is like, I think people, I don't even know how the hell we got here, but I feel like people could just be better stewards of their time and move from being aspirational to intentional hunters.
Starting a business can seem like a daunting task, unless you have a partner like Shopify. They have the tools you need to start and grow your business. From designing a website to marketing to selling and beyond, Shopify can help with everything you need. There's a reason millions of companies like Mattel, Heinz, and Allbirds continue to trust and use them. With Shopify on your side, turn your big business idea into... Sign up for your $1 per month trial at shopify.com/special offer.
Springsteen, Deliver Me From Nowhere, is now streaming on Hulu and Hulu on Disney+.
Trying to find some real in all the noise. You always do.
The artist you know, the story you don't. See Golden Globes nominee Jeremy Allen White as Bruce Springsteen. Critics are saying it's a career-defining performance.
Let's burn this place down, Johnny.
Springsteen, Deliver Me From Nowhere, now streaming on Hulu and Hulu on Disney+. Rated PG-13.
I don't like that.
Why?
Because I think it goes to, I guess when you say like intentional, to me that has like a negative connotation.
Interesting.
And I don't mean that aspirational is the better answer. I'm not saying that, but when you say you should be intentional with your hunts, like I do agree with that, but I would say that almost is like you're trying to, it's like you're trying to prove something to somebody else. Like, I don't know. It just,
I can see that.
It just seems to have like a negative connotation. Like you're I'm doing this intentionally because X, instead of, I don't know, for the love of it. You're saying, well, I'm doing this because I have to get this. And I think that's an odd way to look at it, because I think, everybody that goes in the woods has an aspiration to shoot a 160 inch buck or 180 or whatever, 200. But I think the reality is that the hunt is so much more than that. And so but I think if I think if you go there and you're intentional with every hunt and your intent is to kill a big buck on every hunt, then you are going to fail.
See, it's interesting. It's interesting that you took it that way.
It's going to be really hard to keep going.
I agree. I don't think the pursuits, frankly, I don't think this is my personal ethos, and I'm not pushing this on anybody. I think the pursuit of a bigger buck every year is a self-defeating cycle inevitably. You're either going to run into not having bigger bucks because you live in a place like Florida, or you're going to just keep shooting bigger deer. And then, and I see this happen all the time, is these big buck killers, and they're like, yeah, I don't know, man. That 160 just didn't do anything for me this year. That 180 just did, like, they just feel so unfulfilled by it. It's funny though that I said, because this is a phenomenon, and I think this is like some conditioning that we have. I said intentionality, and you took it to a place of, at least that was what I think I'm hearing, a place of like, you should be intentional about killing a big deer. I think you should be intentional about whatever your goal is. If your goal is to kill a big deer, don't let the idea that buying a piece of gear is going to help you kill that deer prevent you from doing it, right? Be honest with yourself. What does my time look like? What do my resources look like financially and at home and socially? And then set a matrix that allows you to go out and come back with some reasonable chance of being fulfilled. For instance, during turkey season, all I want to hear is one gobble. Legitimately, I don't think there's ever been a day that I've heard a gobble and come out of the woods and been pissed about it. I don't have to see the bird. I just want to hear it, man. That's what I'm there for. And with deer hunting, a buddy of mine's got a goal. He's like, I just want to see a deer every day. And he's a big buck killer. Like he truly goes after some big deer. But he's got this like sustainable goal of, I just want to kill a big deer, or I want to see a deer every sit. So I know I was in the mix, right? And I think what I'm saying is, I think there's a lot of people who watch, not our channels because we don't kill big deer, but they watch other people's channels, and they allow that imprinting to happen. And it's like, if I do feel into like, well, he shoots a Matthews, I got this PSE Nova. If I had a Matthews, I might like that marketing starts to kind of creep into things. And I think being more intentional doesn't necessarily mean that you have to aspire for something else. I just mean go out there and get the thing that you want. Don't pretend to, right?
Maybe. So like, I think, I think about, so I have two brothers. Mm-hmm. I have one brother who would be intentional in wanting to kill a big buck or wanting to get, I mean, I shit you not, my brother we added it up, has missed, I think it was very close to, I'll be conservative, but it was like between 700 and 1,000 inches of antler when he goes out west spot and stock hunting. And I think he's killed like 3 or 4 deer out there. And he's had some really, really epic hunts. And when we were like going through it, he was saying, that's really sad when it sounds really bad when you add it up that way. But then my other brother, he doesn't care. He only wants to get off of work. He wants to just be in the woods and not at work. And I think he's shot maybe 3 deer with his bow. And he's killed, I think he's killed 3 bucks total with a rifle. I think and one will give him with a bow. It was like very much a button buck that had rubbed off its velvet. So it was like just the nubbin of nubbins. But he's killed 3 bucks in his lifetime. that are collectively about, we'll give them some grace and we'll say 40 inches total. And he's just as happy as anybody. And that would be, I don't know if that's his intention, but I don't know that he's not aspirational, right? So I think when you say like intentional, it automatically infers a goal. And so what are you if you don't have a goal? Then if you don't have a goal, then it must have a negative connotation. It must mean that you're not putting something in there. It must be the inverse is true. So you're just wasting your time. And so the tale of two brothers, my other brother is happy as hell and he has no quote unquote goal. So I think that's why I think it has like a negative connotation. And that's just
to say be intentional, because you're saying to not be intentional means you don't have a goal.
Well, that to me, it has a negative connotation because it would be that don't be aspirational, because that would be negative. That would be you're going out there goalless you're just wandering around.
I think that's a lot of hunters. I think they rely on a lot of aspirations.
But do you think that it's impossible to just enjoy being in the woods?
No. And if that's your intention, that's my point, is like, be honest with your intentions. All right. So I Googled this, right? What is the definition of intentional? Cause I was like, maybe I'm off base here. Done by intention or design to have intended consequences.
You can't, first of all, you cannot define something with the word that you're trying to define.
That's a statement. That's using the word. You know how it does the definition?
Okay.
So intentional is done by intention or design. It's a derivative, right? So what I'm saying...
Well, what the fuck is intent?
So that's a good question. Hold on. Let's see. Let's see what the definition of intent is. I'm curious. A usually clearly formulated or planned intention. But either
garbage.
Which way,
however you're looking that up is garbage.
It's Webster, so yes, I agree. Merriam-Webster. It's got two names. It's a hyphen name. You can't take them seriously. But I think what I'm saying is, like, whatever your intentions are, make sure they match your aspirations. Otherwise, you're just aspirational, right? So, like, if your desire is to kill a big deer, but you do nothing, in which case to set yourself up to functionally kill a big deer, that's just being wholly aspirational. And I think that if you're finding yourself if you find yourself going afoot and not having the opportunities you want, and you rely on gear to solve that for you, probably you're falling into that category of aspirational. We all have aspirations, right? But I think what I'm trying to convey is, like, whatever your goal is, be intentional with your pursuit of that. I just want to see deer, man. I just want to kill deer. I like killing deer. I had set a goal to shoot 4 deer this year. I killed 4, and I was like, maybe I can kill 2 more, and I didn't, right? But you didn't see my intent not matching that. You know, I did things differently this year to put myself in a position to kill 4 deer.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I'm trying to, like...
But I hear what you're saying. I don't think it's a negative thing. I think there's a lot of people who say they're going to do something and they don't take that action. And that's every aspect of life. Like, I don't think there's guys every year that say they're going to get skinny, or they're going to work out, and then they never do anything to change their current condition.
I think with a lot of things, it ends up being like, and I say this a lot, you know, it all comes down to, and I think that this, for me, it's always because of like how I am operating, like as a leader or with a team or like whatever, trying to accomplish things as a group or have people quote unquote like figure things out on their own, is it all comes down to your motivation, right? So if you are motivated by this little thing in your hand and what is optically on you, whether that is, by your fitness or your physical appearance, or like the grip and grin, or I want to shoot a big buck because everybody else is, or whatever, like that sort of social pressure, then it's probably not that big of a deal because you just don't post a picture. You just kind of slink away. If it's something that's meaningful to you, or if it's something that you want to change, if there's something that's tying you to do that. So if you have killed smaller bucks and it's getting boring for you and you want to shoot something bigger, or you missed a deer last year and he's still alive and you want to kill that deer because of whatever, like those are different motivations to do such a thing. Now you can get a trail cam picture and you can quote unquote like aspire to do that. And like, what are you doing? Yes, you're splitting hairs there kind of, but again, it's the motivation. Like, does it really mean anything to you? Why are you doing it? That ultimately, and the same thing would go for like what you were saying is like, get skinny. Like if you're going to die, if you're going to have a heart attack, if you're unhealthy, if your best friend just died, and you guys were living the same life and there's been some sort of thing, but that's ultimately like, for me, like what I was saying, like I can't make somebody want to do something just because I say so. I have to like put it in terms of like, I have to make it their idea. I have to make them think that they want it. I have to show them how stupid whatever is going on, and I have to I have to give them the tools to fix it themselves so that they own it, and that's what it is. It's like, it's a motivation thing. So for me in hunting, like there's all these things that I would love to do. But I really, I do like shooting deer, but I love like the experience of sharing it with other people and all that. And I'm not talking about like online. I'm talking about like
in person, deer
calling
camp.
my buddies and doing the thing, and that, I mean, and until you start getting awards for that, like until they start putting that in the record books, like I ain't going to be there,
I'm going to be honest with you. I feel like I may have lost kind of where we're going with this dialogue, because I feel like we're kind of both saying something similar, maybe in different ways, but.
Well, I just think it's a fun, a good conversation for people to hear, because like maybe it gets them to like kind of like look inside and say, what do I want out of, like, I guess to kind of reflect and say like, what did my season look like? What did it look like on the front end? And where am I now? And, whatever. And interestingly enough, last night I was looking at some of like the old reels from like the Rome stuff, like from at the beginning of the year, about like the things that we were talking about, like, oh, this is what we want to do, or whatever. And did we accomplish like all of those goals? Like, no. But did we have fun? Did we do kind of like what we said we were going to do, and share that stuff? Like, absolutely. And would I do anything differently? I mean, I would have really liked to shoot that buck that I missed 3 times. I think in hindsight, I would have done something different there. But, other than that, like it was so much fun to have that sort of a season. Like, and you're talking, it's funny, you're talking about like, if you don't shoot 2 bucks a year, blah, 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 don't talk about the broadheads. And I'm just thinking about being at full draw at that deer at 13 yards with that mechanical broadhead. Like, should I have shot? Should I have not shot? Like, I don't know. What would you do?
What's the scenario?
So that deer in Kansas.
Yeah.
Did I not tell you the story?
No, I don't think so.
Oh, Jesus. So, long story short, we got into a field with 6 bucks. They worked all the way around to us. The biggest one was probably close to 140. Probably 140's 8 point.
Decent deer.
Yeah. I mean, at least for me, he got a pass. But they were moving from our right to left. We had everything in our favor. But where we were set up, they ended up coming behind us. And so I had to spin around, and we're on the ground. We were just essentially scouting with my bow. I'm on my knees, full draw. He comes out. The doe had already come out. She kind of busted us, but she didn't really know what was going on. So she kept on going. All he had to do was follow her, but he was warding off all these other, I mean, he was running all these bucks off, grunting, snort, wheezing. I mean, he's fending off all these other bucks off of this doe. And he, instead of following the path that she followed, and I knew exactly where he was going to go, because this is exactly where she went. She stomped at us and looked at us, and then she turned away. Well, when he came through from behind the tree, he snort wheezed, and then he stepped up, and he was behind, like, think of like the thickness of like a blueberry bush. Okay. Like that's like the brush stem count. Mm-hmm. And think of like a hard quartered two, like think of Bambi's dad, right? And I'm at, give or take, 13 yards on the ground, on my knees, full draw. Basically, from where I'm looking at you right now at this TV, and I got it. I mean, my entire pins are like right here on the white patch, and I had a mega meat, and I'm like, couldn't do it. I was like,
it wouldn't matter what broadhead you had on. I wouldn't have taken that shot.
Oh, I would have taken it with a fixed blade 100% every day. But
not the blueberry bushes I have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
I mean, if there's brush in the way, I'm not taking the shot. Not with a bow. But that's my ethos. And this is something Parker has Parker and I have gone back and forth on. I'd rather let a deer get away than punch through something with an arrow. I've hit branches and seen things skip off at a 90-degree angle at point blank. I'm not forcing that, mechanical or not. But also, it comes back to when I say ethos, I just don't care that much about killing a big deer. Like, it's not that I don't want to, but what's going to be worse for me is taking a marginal shot that under textbook circumstances, and this isn't like trying to fit it through a hole. Like, we're basically saying you're going to hit something when you get to him, on the way to him, right?
Yeah. In the moment, like right now, like in my head, like I can see like the thickness of the branches, but at the time, like I wasn't like picking a spot, and I had probably.
Do you have a softball size hole to shoot through?
Oh God, no.
No. I'm not taking the shot. And I just don't care that much, because I would rather not wound that deer and live with the fact I wounded that deer and didn't recover him than take that shot. I just don't care that much. I'm indifferent to it.
Yeah. Well, and that's why I didn't shoot with and like as soon as like the doe started coming through there and I saw where she went, I like looked at my broadhead and I was like, this is not gonna.
How far was it?
13 yards. It was probably closer to 9. It was between 9. The edge of the brush was 9 yards. And so we're talking.
That's close range.
I mean, I guarantee that I would have had a foot of penetration. Like no matter where the arrow glanced, I'm confident in that.
If you could tell me confidently I'd hit in the vitals and get a foot of penetration, I'd take the shot.
Where my pin was right on the white patch of his throat.
Quartering 2?
like a hard quarter two. Like I said, like think Bambi's dad. Like he was like
so an even
elevated,
smaller
like,
set of vitals, because basically you're taking a frontal shot.
that is about the easiest frontal shot that you're ever gonna get.
Yeah. I wouldn't take that shot either. No. And listen, I know there are guys that like, screw this ginger. They didn't even know I was a ginger until I just said this, but like, I'm not.
No, but that's what I'm saying. Like again, like the whole story leading up to it is just bonkers.
Yeah.
But like that being like in that scenario, like that's one that I second guess, like, because that was 45 minutes into the first walk of the day, first morning in Kansas. Like, it's wild.
Parker's nickname in my phone for the longest time was Brush Buster, because on all his early videos, if you go back and watch, a lot of the deer he killed, the arrow would ping pong off of stuff before it got to the deer. And I used to always rib him about it. I think some people really want to kill more, and they're willing, like their tolerance for those shots is just different, right? And there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, if you feel confident that it's going to land its mark, then you need to take that shot. Yeah, that sucks, man.
Well, I mean, I killed a deer there. It was wide open, equally as marginal. So it's just, that is why I love.
But also, tying all the points together, you did exactly what I was talking about. If the conversation is, I'm getting these close encounters, and this piece of gear may have helped me, then buying the gear makes sense.
No, I had the gear in my quiver.
That's what I'm saying.
I just picked the wrong one.
Right, but tying it into what I was saying early on was like what I'm trying to convey is, if you're in Adam's position wherein you go, if I had fill in the blank, I would have had a better chance. Great, buy the gear. But until you're there, man, like you probably need to be doing something else. If 30% of hunters are killing a single deer in the state, what's the other 70 doing? That's and if buying gear was the solution, Bass Pro Shops would be equipping people very well every single year, and Academy and Dick's and all your local hunting shops. They like the numbers would be going up for harvest rates per hunter, right? Bag limits would be going down. So that's all I'm getting at, man.
So
I feel like I made myself sound like a total horse's ass on your podcast with my hot take there.
Well, I mean, if the shoe fits, but this is what I got to put up with on the regular folks.
Regular, yeah.
I got this millennial trying to tell me stuff.
Same age, Adam.
Please.
How old are you, Adam? 37?
I think. Let's see. I'm 44.
Ask your wife to verify that, but go ahead.
I'm 44.
Oh, you're right on the cusp. Are you Gen Z? Or Gen X?
I don't know. 81.
Yeah, I think you might be on that cusp. I think it's like 87 is where they draw the line for millennials. Yeah. I got to put some respect on your name, man.
Yeah.
Mr.
Yes.
Miller.
Doctor, thank you.
Mr. Dr. Miller.
So in this, so we talked earlier about like you, coming in, starting a podcast long ago, and now into this day and age. Like, how has your mindset changed from then until now?
Like from when I was 16 to where I am now, or when I entered the industry?
So when you started till now.
Yeah.
Like, as from exactly what we're talking about, from gear, from like your aspirations to intentions to view of the quote unquote industry to again, like where you're at now.
Well, yeah, I mean, to be clear, I quit the podcast, but I still have YouTube. I still have corporate sponsors, right? I shoot for Savage now and Bowtech. And so I'm still definitely very much in the industry. I think, man, so much has happened since when that occurred, right? So like you and I entered this when like the industry was kind of regressing, in my opinion, wherein you had a barrier to entry where you couldn't have a hunting show because you had to have TV slot, right? And then you and I jumped on this bandwagon when suddenly a Sony Handycam and YouTube, you could become famous and make some good money, right? But what came with that is the industry kind of struggled to figure itself out again, because I remember the days of when you'd log into Facebook, you'd get a friend request, you'd go to their About Me, and it's like field staff 4, fill in the blank. And it was like 19 deep. And so it went from these companies having to pay people to rep the brands to, hey, this guy will pay us 80% of retail to belong to us, you know? And so, man, I think I've gone through so many iterations. I think I'm at my most grounded balance between ambitious and looking to build something, but also almost indifferent to what comes. I don't know if that makes any sense. Like I feel confident having built, played a role in building 2 separate outdoor brands that were successful, to kind of getting back to why I started all of this. And that is, I got a 4-year-old kid, man. I started filming because I wanted him to be able to see, like, for me, the medium of the day was video. Robert Rourke and Hemingway, they had books. Or the generation before us, they had TV. And so, like, now we have YouTube and the ability to kind of chronicle what we're doing. And I'm kind of getting back to that. And I'm just fortunate enough that enough people have invested in me as a deer hunter that now I kill enough deer to be worthwhile to shoot for Savage and Bowtech, you know? Like, it's weird because I almost don't care. And I think that's where I might find some different types of success this year, is like, or in this part of my career. I kind of don't care, man. Florida's hard. I've had big deer on camera and they get shot, and you only got a couple big deer, dude. Like, if that's your season, if that's your brand, you're going to really suffer. I killed 4 deer this year that I think most people outside of the state would just laugh about. And I couldn't care less, man. I had a blast doing it, and there's some really cool emotions caught on camera, and my son's going to get to enjoy it. So, I don't know. I went from caring a lot to not caring a whole lot in the most professional sense, I guess.
So you said that you had some big deer on camera and they got shot, right? Mm-hmm. So they got shot by guys that were intentional or aspirational?
The deer that got shot were all killed by very intentional individuals.
This Friday, Crime 101 hits theaters.
What is it that you do?
I take high-value items and make them disappear.
So you're a thief.
One crime connects them all.
I'm getting close. I know it.
But only one will walk away.
I underestimated you.
Chris Hemsworth, Mark Ruffalo, Barry Keoghan, and Halle Berry.
We're good at this.
Yeah.
Crime 101, directed by Bart Layton. Rated R, under 17, animated without parent. Only in theaters Friday.
Yeah, okay. I know 2 of the guys that shot 2 of the bucks, and they work really, really hard. They hunt very, very similar areas that I do. Kind of the funny thing about this is the other aspect of this year that I kind of started to introduce into my mindset is that Lady Luck is there, dude. There is a portion of this. Alex Chop actually planted this seed. I think it might have been your podcast he was on, and he was talking about how you just never truly know why something went the way that it did. You just truly never will know. Was it because you put that deer to bed and he got up in the lunar moon phase and Mars was in retrograde, or did a coyote bump that thing? Or is there a hunter on that side of the thicket that wind bumped him? And the irony in this is I killed 2 bucks this year because feral dogs from a dude's house, just yard dogs that just run everywhere, ran those deer, and I happened to be on their escape routes. And the only reason why I know that is because I have cell cameras and I have those deer being ran by dogs moments before I shot them. And I'm sitting there looking at my deer like, oh my God, I can't believe I killed this deer. I can't believe I called this. Bloom, my phone goes off. I'm like, that scrape's active over there. Let me see what's going on. And here it is, my buck being ran past where I was 400 yards away. So I think being intentional has a big part of it. But at the end of the day, man, I'm kind of with Alex. Like, you never quite know where the success came from per se, but the difference is being out there is the only difference maker, in my opinion, right? Like, you ever play Dungeons and Dragons?
Absolutely not.
Okay, you're missing out. It's a lot of fun. There's a 20-sided die.
When did you first meet girls?
It was very late in life. To be fair, I played Dungeons and Dragons for the first time at 36. So there's a 20-sided die, and I think about those 20 sides of the die, and like how many of those do you control? You control if you get up on time. You control if you lace up your boots and still go. You control if you sit in the stand for 15 more minutes. You control how much you practiced with your bow. You do control how good your equipment is and how tuned your equipment is. I'm not saying how high end, right? A PSE Stinger X, that will kill deer. Practice with it. Get it dialed in, right? You control some of this, but I'm a firm believer that there's enough of those numbers on the other side that you're never really in control. Like, you can't roll that dice with the precision to go, I just know I'm going to kill a deer today, and go in there and do it regularly. If you could, Jake Bush wouldn't struggle. You know, people wouldn't have down years. I think a lot of people don't realize how, because social media distorts this, they don't realize how many people go without killing big deer every year.
Man,
I'm going to be the most unpopular guest your podcast has ever seen after this.
No, I doubt that, but
You disagree? You think luck doesn't play a big role?
So I think everything is nuanced.
Sure.
Because, and again, when you start to talk about things like when you say Johnny Eberhart, and so like this, my mind goes to scent and things like that. So when you say Jake Bush wouldn't have a down year, like the deer that Jake Bush pass in a down year are deer that 90%, probably more than 90% of the hunters would shoot. So that is not a very good example in my mind, because so I mean, there are guys, I think, that can say, I'm going to go out and kill a deer today. Now, and frankly, if we're being honest, and depending on what your definition of said deer is, like, I don't think that going out and killing a deer on any day is that difficult. If you say a big deer or a buck or whatever, now that's a whole nother story. But if you're like on the hierarchy of like difficulty, like to go out to say, oh, I'm going to go kill a deer today, depending on the time of year and the season and the weapon, like, there's plenty of people listening to this podcast where that is not a tough row to hoe.
But 500,000 of the 750 deer hunters in Georgia don't have that. It must be hard.
But that's not. It's also very nuanced, because how many of those hunters did not shoot a deer intentionally? Like, did pass.
That's
deer,
fair.
Meaning.
That's fair.
So if everybody that
they
could
passed every doe that they saw,
if everybody that could have shot a deer did shoot a deer, what would those numbers look like?
Sure.
And so, like I said, these things are, these are very nuanced. And like the guy that comes to mind when you're talking about, like, when you're talking about the Andy Mays, like there's like the antithesis of Andy May, who's equally as successful. And I don't think he's, I think I know, I'll have to ask him. But I think I'm fairly certain that he's not quite as dialed in on his equipment. But I would put him in the same category as far as killing. And I don't think anybody would really disagree. He does it. He does use a rifle often also. But I don't think anybody would disagree that Johnny Stewart is just as lethal.
Agreed.
But if you were to ask Johnny about his bow, I'm not about his setup and stuff like that, I think he would have a lot different answer than Andy.
I think Andy's is a one-off. That was my point early on. But to your point earlier, you said he's hunting a caliber of deer that's going back to Jake Bush. If that was the case, that you're implying that because he's chasing a bigger caliber of deer, that there's a higher degree of error rate or improbability, right?
No, I was just saying that, like, if you're saying, like, it's really hard, and if it wasn't hard, then Jake Bush wouldn't have down years, and there's lots of people that don't kill big deer.
I'm not saying it's really hard. I'm saying specifically, you can't control enough of the factors to go out and do something with precision on any given day and say that you're the reason why you did that. There's enough variables at play that you can't control. That odds, statistics. People get really upset when I say the word luck because they think it's a demeaning thing. And I'm not saying that. I mean, like, true, like, odds, like Vegas kind of odds, right? You don't control where the wind goes from every minute or what kind of odd thermal shows up that you haven't seen before. You don't control enough of these factors. He doesn't control how many big deer are out there or other people who are ruining his plans on a higher end deer, right? The probability of a deer being that big is lower, right? And I feel like that kind of aids to kind of the thing I'm trying to get at is, like, Lady Luck plays a huge role in this. Odds, just the statistical odds. Now, Jake Bush is way better. The fellow you just mentioned, Johnny Stewart, way better. Andy May, way better at stacking more of those factors in their favor. And that's why they kill deer. Remove the gear equation away from it. When you watch Johnny Stewart's Instagram page, the dude lives and breathes the outdoors. He's not sitting at home ever. Like, I've never seen him. I can't think of a single time I've watched Johnny Stewart's stories and it's him inside four walls and it's not like buying a license somewhere, right? Like, that's what I'm getting at is, like, I think what I'm trying to get through is the people who spend time in the outdoors pursuing the thing, being intentional with their time in a pursuit, those are the people who are stacking the only real variables that matter, I think, of consequence.
And then where does luck or odds or statistics or whatever fall in that for these guys who are successful year over year in your mind? Is it that they're just essentially counting cards? I mean, I guess
in a way,
yeah.
In a way, I am because here's where things are distorted, right? So, baseball, you get 164 games a year. Every person has, I think, a on average 1.5 attempts at bat per game, depending on how many innings it goes through and how many people get on base. You have so many tries that a 300 batting average will get you a starting job anywhere in the MLB at any given time, right? But they get a asinine number of tries to hit 30% of the time. And so think about Ohio. It's a $1 state. You have from October to January 15th or something like that. Let's round down and say you have 3 months or 90 days. Morning and evening sit, 90 days. You have 180 attempts to roll a 20-sided die and it land on one. One being when you kill a deer. Yeah, 100%. They're not necessarily counting cards so much as they know there's no penalty. I can keep playing as many hands of poker as I need to. There's never a penalty for me getting up and going into the woods and hunting, right? I don't get kicked out of the game for trying. All I have to do is get 21 one time throughout the course of the year, and I've won. I've had a phenomenal year.
But I think the counting cards analogy is a little bit more accurate.
Okay.
In that, so you're saying that you get all these tries and all these things and you're not going to get kicked out, but you may kick the deer out. You may push him to another guy who may kill him or all of these other things. But in the sense of counting cards, you're watching and you're watching these other cards come out of the deck, and you're making big bets when the things are in your favor. So if you have the wind, if you have the moon, if you have the run, if you have these things, that's when you're putting all of your chips in. And
there's
so
no
I think
chips in the game we're playing.
You are the chip,
right? And if you strike out today, there's always tomorrow,
right?
Until the season ends.
Yes,
but
there's times to play those big hands. There's times to.
That's a great for sure.
Yeah.
I think my version of that is controlling the variables, right? Controlling of those. If you go back to the die, you're saying you have so many chips, so many cards to play. Sure, that's a great way. Like, when am I going to place that bet? Absolutely, right? When am I going to go all in on this? The payout, though, is the payout, right? You got to strike one time. And so, Jake Bush, I'll never forget how he went in the off season, because he got a wind that he didn't understand, and it swirled. He told this story on the podcast, and it swirled. And in the off season, he waited until he had that wind with relatively similar conditions, and went in there with milkweed and went all the way up the ridge. And he watched what the milkweed did, and he saw where it swirled and went up to that bed that he didn't anticipate. Even though it felt like it was in his face the whole time, there was this back current that went back up to that bed. He's controlling variables. He now knows that wind doesn't work for him anymore, and he's got to do something else, right? Acorn Cruncher doesn't do that for you, right? And I think there's a lot of guys, and you see them go to these expos, they stop by a bunch of these booths, and I'm not disparaging them, right? Like, sell your gear, man, because somebody has killed a deer using an Acorn Cruncher, right? I guarantee it. I kind of want to try it, to be completely honest with you. I think it'd be really fun. I'm trying to talk to the guy who's sitting there right now in February going, I just cannot believe this is the fill in the blank year that this didn't work. If you find yourself perusing a catalog of products, hoping it's going to bring you a different outcome, I'd challenge you to just kind of look at your actual effort. Like, have you designed your life to exist in such a fashion to achieve the outcome that you want to do? I'm curious. I'm curious what people would say, because I can tell you up until about 3 years ago, I hadn't. And up until this year, when I took a big step of quitting the podcast, that was a big step towards me killing more deer, because I have way more time. I have way more equity with my family to strike out and go hunting when they get to see me, 5 nights a week instead of 2, because I'm working on something, or I'm podcasting, or I'm cross branding, or I'm settling a dispute in the deer camp or something like that. It's all about controlling as many of those variables as you come, and also being honest with yourself about what a reasonable outcome is. I do not have the lifestyle, nor have I built it, to go do what Jake Bush did. He moved across the country, man. He found a job that worked for him. He applied himself in a way that I've been largely unwilling to do here. His outcome is going to look different.
What is, and this is going to be different for everybody, but what is that reasonable balance? Like, what, in this world of, you say that you don't care, and, you're applying yourself, but to apply yourself, you have to care, there's a double-edged sword. But where is that balance? Like, when is enough good enough? Like, what is I guess for you, like, what in a world of intentions, Walter, what are your aspirations? What are your goals? What's next? Mm-hmm. Like, so in the next 5 years, what do you want your wall to look like? What is a success from a hunting standpoint?
I think there's tiers to this for me, and I think people
like running down your face. Tears. Yeah.
If this big 6 that I was after this year doesn't make it, I'm gonna have some tears, because he showed up the one day that I didn't go into the woods this year exactly where I wanted him to be. So thank you, Adam. But I think there's layers to this, right? So, like, there's something to be said for there being, like, baseline goals, right? So with every goal, with every leadership class we've probably ever taken, they talk about getting the ball rolling, right? Finding some form of momentum, right? Some reason to get out of the bed. For turkeys, for me, truly, I just want to hear a turkey every day. The season as a whole may be frustrating, but the day-to-day will be made by having heard a turkey, which it makes it sustainable. It's easy to accomplish, which means I never come out of the woods feeling defeated. And so for me, I think I'm going into the season with less goals now than ever, in the sense of like grand goals or like preconceived notions of what could be. I have the opportunity here to maybe get on a couple 100-inch deer every year. I've worked really, really hard. Some people have invested in me as a deer hunter in a way that I'm remarkably blessed. Shout out to you. I'm not going to name you out of respect, but you guys, you know who you are. You've really both encouraged me, but answered questions and invested in my future. And now I have the ability to pursue big deer. But if my season's contingent on that, and there's only a couple of them, I'm going to end up feeling really deflated. And so for me, my season kind of evolved. I want to shoot 4 deer every year. That's for sustenance purposes. If I can shoot 4 deer, we buy way less red meat. Red meat's gotten expensive. I don't know if anybody grocery shops anymore, but Jesus Christ. And so for me, I want to shoot 4 deer. I want to see a deer every hunt. That's my day-to-day. My season will be made if I can put 4 deer in the freezer. It's all gravy after that. It doesn't really matter. And most importantly, I want to feel like I go on an adventure every day. And so that's why I really gravitate to water access, because it kind of feels like an adventure. You're getting in a boat and the waves are lapping at stuff, and you typically don't run into people, and you can almost convince yourself you're the only person out there kind of vibe. It's an adventure. It's just different. And I think that excitement and that enthusiasm is something that I want to capture more of. I'm also on this weird kick of getting back to what I did as a kid. I guess maybe it's coming of age. I've got a 4-year-old son. I'm 36 now. I kind of got away from a lot of things that really made me happy. That's why I said I don't really care as much. So like, I'm not going to deer hunt in September anymore or early October. My season doesn't open until late October. And this year I didn't deer hunt. And I thought I was going to really miss it. And at times I did. But man, deer season's a freaking marathon. And when it starts in September, because you travel out of state, and it runs all the way to February 15th, that's a long freaking marathon. And this year I burned out right at the end of the season. Like I just didn't have the desire to go anymore. I had done enough. I had put enough energy into that thing. So I kind of timed it right. And so I'm going to do more fishing with my kid because I used to enjoy fishing a lot more. And I think that's something kind of being in the industry took for me for a little while. It's like, I got to stay centric. It's got to be deer, deer, deer. Or otherwise, people don't care. And now I just don't really care. Like I'm going to document my adventures. I'm going to kill some deer along the way and have fun. So I got to Missouri and I told everybody the first 80-inch deer I was going to schwack. I told you that. I called you and I told you that. The first deer I had in range, probably about 90 to 100-inch deer. I passed it. Perfect broadside shot, 40 yards. Would have been a bit of a poke, but he was just comes walking right down the creek. I could have, something clicked in me, and I was like, nope, I'm in Missouri. I'm not going to have an opportunity to kill big deer like this back home in Florida. I don't care if I come home with an empty tag. And I had a couple more opportunities on similar-sized bucks. I had a dozen or more does around me. I had a couple small bucks around me. I had some really big encounters with some deer, and I shot and wounded what I think was about a 140-inch deer. And I'm completely at peace with that decision. But that was a decision I kind of made in that moment, right? It just kind of is what the season gave me. If next year all I've got are basket rack deer like this over my shoulder, okay, I'm going to shoot as many of those as I have tags. And if I get bored and I want to go after something else, okay, great. But next year the season resets, I just don't want to go into the season with like, I almost use the word aspiration much to your enjoyment, but I don't want to go into the season with aspirations that aren't tangible, right? Because then what happens, right? Let's say I find a 120-inch deer and I set all my sights on that 120-inch deer and then it gets shot. Well, everything else after that's a freaking letdown, dude.
This is amusing.
I'm sure it is.
This is very amusing. Because that's what I'm saying. I think that's when, these people, they anchor themselves to these things. And, there's people that are like fully at peace with, I got to do this, I got to do this, I got to do this. But, personally, I like the word, I like that you used adventure. I like that too. But I like the surprise, I like seeing new things, and I say it all the time. People who listen probably are, annoyed with it, but I like the validation of like going into a new spot, never been there before.
Yeah.
And then
It's a
get up
great
a tree
feeling.
and, it works out. Like whether I get a shot or whatever, but just I knew that this was where I needed to be, or I was, 20 yards off or whatever, but that learning piece. But I think, what I was asking though is like over the next 5 years is like, for you, is it just whitetail? Is it just Florida? Is it just Georgia? Or do you have anything else like on the horizon? Like, or is it just this? Cause like, I'm starting to like, I'm perpetually going to be going out of state, and I don't feel like, I'm getting older, so I need to do this stuff now. But I'm just,
Boy, I
just
feel
getting
that way, but keep going.
I just get to that I'm getting older, or
No, that I'm getting older. Like, I feel like there's a clock over my shoulder. Like, if I don't start doing this stuff, man, like one day I won't be able to.
But I'm also like, I'm also looking at things like through a different lens. Like I want to kill one of these. I want to kill one of those. Yeah. I think I didn't think that was possible, but it's not that much money. Let's go do that. Let's go try that. Like that's a real adventure.
Yeah.
That sort of stuff where, I'm taking time off to go chase whitetails. And I have some states that are just a couple hours away where I can go, quote unquote, do an out of state trip, or I could do a couple of them, or whatever, where it isn't really a big deal. I guess time wise to go to be like what I would consider like a real out of state hunt.
Yeah.
Cause but it was funny when you were saying like you don't want to hunt September. It's like I want to try and kill an antelope, and I would love to go do it in August or something, so it doesn't mess up like the real hunting season, quote unquote real. Mm-hmm. And for no other reason than just because it's just something that I haven't even pursued or tried, or it's really never. We were going to do it a few years back, and it just didn't work out. And it's like, well, I've never killed one of those. I think maybe that'd be fun. So for you, is it just whitetails, or do you have other things on your?
So, our goal is never to stay here. Like, we have aspirations of moving to like North Georgia or to Tennessee or something like that at some point in time. And so, I think the worst thing that people do is they take for granted where they are. Like, if you go to Colorado, you're like, God, these mountains are gorgeous, and people are like, yeah, they are. And then you'll go into another shop, like a mountaineering shop, and you're like, God, aren't these mountains gorgeous? And the guy's like, yeah, man, it's awesome, isn't it? How are you, bud? And you're like, Bud, where are you from? And he's like, I'm from Atlanta. I went to Georgia Tech, and I came out here one summer, and I never left. And it's like the people in Colorado take for granted the Rocky Mountains, and the people in Florida kind of take for granted the inshore fishing. And my wife and I are in our career, we're going to have to bounce around to grow, right? To find opportunity, which means I really want to be present where I am. And that right now is on the panhandle of Florida. I've got insane inshore fishing. You're flying halfway across the country or all the way north to south, just to come hang out on our beaches. And they're in my backyard, man. And for the last 6 years, I've just kind of turned my nose up at them. And I wanted to kill a big deer. For whatever reason, I wanted to kill big deer. And so I threw all my eggs into killing big deer. Honestly, Adam, I'm going to chase inshore fishing. I'm going to chase turkeys with a reckless abandon. I'm going to chase turkeys. And then I'm going to chase deer for a couple months out of the year in Alabama, Georgia, and Florida. Hard, but locally, man. I'm just going to kind of live this lifestyle here, because at some point in time, I'm going to look back and be like, man, I can't believe you didn't go on more adventures to the springs and to these different areas. And so kind of for me, my new brand, I guess, if you will, is going to be documenting those pursuits. A real Florida-based lifestyle, just whatever's in season here is going to be what I pursue. But also, man, I'm kind of trying to set myself up because my kid loves to fish. And in a few years, it's going to really pay off for me to know exactly where to take him to catch reds in the spring and reds in the summer. And so that's really going to be my focus, is just documenting the lifestyle that I have right here. Because much like I said with gear, like, don't buy gear if it takes away from other things. I want to go hunt antelope. I'm with you, dude. That sounds like a lot of fun in September. But to do that, I would have to take from other aspects of where I am. Like, my pot is full. Like, living my life here to its fullest, I'd have to diminish other things to go on that trip. And I just don't want to. Like, at the end of the day, I just do not want to bad enough to be gone. I like my kid. I'm not saying you don't, but I like being a father more than I thought I was going to. And being away from him is exceptionally hard for me. Like, exceptionally hard. The homesick that I feel is just brutal. And in 10 years, 15 years from now, maybe even sooner, he's not going to give a flying flip where I am. He's going to be hanging out with his friends, or he's going to be off in college. And I'll have all the time I want to go pursue things. I mean, hell, I'll be in my late 40s like you at that point in time. You know, I'll be doing what you're doing, hopefully. But for the next 5 years, man, it's going to be a Florida lifestyle. I'm going to take the cameras just like I always have. I'm probably going to invest in that on a different level, kind of from a production standpoint. There's no podcast to split my focus anymore, so it's just going to be video. Well, there is a podcast, but it's not going to be the primary focus. And that's just going to be what I do, dude. It's just have fun. Like, I want to approach every season with as much hard work as humanly possible, and just kind of be okay with whatever the outcome is, if that makes sense.
It doesn't, but I mean, more power to you. That sounds terrible.
Yeah.
But
I grew up with this like cycle. I bow hunted my butt off, and I got burned out on bow hunting, and then I moved to fill in the blank season, which was typically duck season, but we don't have really any ducks around here, so I don't fool with that. Which is going to be, I did a lot of inshore fishing. I had these cycles that I just went through, and I just kind of missed that. And also, I'm ADHD, dude. Like, I can't focus on something for like forever. I'm jealous of guys that have the ability to like hyper fixate on one thing. I can't do it, man. I need a break.
Your poor wife.
I know. She's ADHD too, so she appreciates it, I think.
And anybody who thinks that they can't believe that I would say something like that to him, this is exactly just like our conversations go on the regular day.
Oh, yeah.
So not, he was not surprised that I would.
No, you get to meet my wife actually here soon. That's awesome.
Yeah. No, and when you were saying that about like what we take for granted, like we live on the shores of Lake Michigan. So like I've had people come up here and we'll take them like to the beach or like down to Grand Haven or something. And they're like, oh my God. And like the one day I took some of our friends down there, like, and there was like a legitimate like sailboat regatta race from here to Chicago. So it was like all these like catamarans and yachts, cool. And they're just like, you know, can't believe it. And we're just like, yeah, we don't really come down here. Like it's, you know, not that big a deal. So I totally understand what you're saying. So like, let's try and like explain this. Cause you're saying, okay, Kyle quit the band. I don't do any of this stuff anymore. I'm going to do whatever I want, but I'm still sponsored. I still do all of this, you know, Savage, Bowtech, and, you know, all of these things. Like, why? What are you doing now? What's so special about you? What's the next
really.
big thing? What's the next big thing? Why would they invest in you?
I don't know, honestly, and I hope they don't ever figure it out because I'll probably get trimmed pretty quick from the pro staff. Honestly, there's nothing special, dude. There really isn't. It's a YouTube channel. It's a guy who's really passionate. Maybe that's what the difference is. Maybe I'm intentional and it stands out, and that's the big difference. I still want to make a living in this industry. I feel like despite the fact that I've somehow managed to bungle this interview to the point which no one's ever going to come find me, I still feel like I have a positive impact. I want to leave a positive impact, and I want to inspire people to pursue what's in their back door, right? Like whatever's right there, just go and do it. Because the thing is, man, like you don't have to go to Ohio every year to have a good time in the deer woods, right? Like, and I think that's a message that resonates with people, and I think that at least I hope it does. We'll find out here shortly, right? When I start posting videos, but like I think there are people who get caught up like thinking about like, oh, Adam gets to go hunt this, and he got to go to Kansas, and it's like, dude, just be present where you are. Like, if at a bare minimum, go outside. Right? I used to, in the podcast, like, no matter what you do, get outside and enjoy the great outdoors. I meant that with a full spirit, dude. I'm a better version of myself when I go for a hike in the woods. Right? And that's kind of what I hope to inspire. I'm really passionate about bow hunting. I'm really passionate about rifles. I think those are both really cool areas to focus on. And I'm kind of a pseudo engineering mind. I like to tinker with things when it's 100 degrees for 6 months out of the year. I get a lot of time in the AC, and that's something that I really get to focus on. And I kind of find myself when I'm doing those things, when I have to just kind of be focused on that one particular thing, it really grounds me. And so the YouTube channel hopefully is going to help convey that. And I think that's the reason why. The other thing we have going on is Digital Deer Camp. So Adam, you and I, we bounce business ideas off of each other nonstop. And so I don't know when it was, but it was some years back. One of us found Patreon, and we were like, hey, this is a great way for us to raise money for the show, build a community, and find a way to do more of our passions, right? And it was always a byproduct. It was like, I have this show, and there are people who want to support me, so I'm going to create a place for them to support me. And what I found, and I think you probably can speak to this as well, that community ended up being its own entity. Like, it became its own self-fulfilling entity. And that's kind of what we've trademarked as Digital Deer Camp, TM. I want to rebuild what social media was in the early 2000s. And if your birth date starts with a 2 again, I'm sorry, this is at you again. You have no idea how cool social media was. And I don't mean cool like as in like, oh, I've got a Facebook, because it was that too. But it was cool because your great Aunt Susan, who you never talked to, suddenly had the ability to see how you were doing and to communicate with you. And it was full of nothing but positive vibes. And it was a place that you could go post a deer, and people were like, hell yeah, man. Way to go, dude. There wasn't this, like, I keep coming back to this word, and it's really intense, and I'm sorry, but there wasn't this, like, vitriol, like this nastiness that was just, like, slowly induced out of us through social media. And through our Patreon group, I saw a bunch of guys who just wanted to support other guys and root them on as they pursue whatever the hell it is. You want to shoot spikes? You got a group of 20, 40, 60 guys all willing to help you make sure you shoot those spikes. And if you pursue a 140-inch deer and you miss one, everybody's going to be like, dude, that freaking blows. Or if you stone one, they're going to be your biggest fans. That's what community used to be like. These groups, the Moose Club, the Archer group that you're in, these little social groups we had, there was ribbing, right? There's a difference between like ribbing your buddies and being degrading to individuals you've never met. And I was never a part of any of those groups growing up where they were just malicious to each other, right? There was no malicious intent. And so when Parker and I made the decision to step away from the podcast and really focus on YouTube, we realized in those conversations that the Patreon community had become a beta, a test group for what social media could be again. And so we've leaned into that wholeheartedly. That's kind of our main product offering now. It's our only main product offering from the SoCo company is Digital Deer Camp. In the next 5 years, I really hope this takes off, because I feel like there is a space that's desperately needed for grown men to have a social space. Because I said this on another podcast the other day, and it was there's two versions of a story. There's, you go to the party and you're the only guy wearing camo because you're the only hunter, right? And everybody else is talking about stocks and bonds and Housewives of the Potomac. There's a worse version of that story, and that is you go to the store, you go to the party, you see guys in camo, you start talking to them, and they hunt private, and you don't hunt private, and you feel completely isolated. Where the guy goes, he's like, yeah, I've got the same spot I go to every weekend, and you're a mobile hunter, right? And you don't have that community within the community you're supposed to find it in. And so what we noticed is there's guys all over this country who feel kind of isolated from the hunting space because they don't have a place to fit in. And we're hoping to give them one. We really are.
So for people who are like hearing this, right? How is this, because we're currently inundated with the next, how does this differ, or how is this going to, I don't want to say like integrate, but fit into your normal socials, right? Because everybody's got their Facebook, everybody's got their Instagram. Oh, you got X, you got TikTok, you got Snapchat, you got all these other things. Like, and you're already talking about like, oh, I need to be more present. Oh, I need to be, now we've got another thing. So like, what is your move or direction, or what sets you apart to, kind of steal some of that time back for guys,
Yeah, no, it's a great question, right? Because basically what I'm describing is a new take on social media for the hunting space. And we had opportunities. We've seen companies come and go, like Go Wild tried it and whatnot. I'd say a couple things set us aside. One, this is the only social media out there, and I'm sure there'll be more to come, and I welcome it. I think it'll be a great thing, just for deer hunters. And what I mean by that is it's not that we don't talk about other things, but the main emphasis and the main dialogue is about deer hunting. I think that a lot of people find themselves on those social media apps looking for the community that I'm trying to provide. And so it's kind of like, I don't know, you're working on your brakes and you take the rotor off, right? And you don't have that tool that bolts in and screws in and pushes the rotor off the hub to where you don't have to like bang it off, and you can't find that, right? So you go get a hammer, and it does the job, right? You got the rotor off, but it wasn't really what you needed in that moment. And so for me, like, I feel like there's a lot of guys who are either on social media, like Facebook, or they've given up and they've left, that this could provide them a community. I think there are people who are spending time on Facebook looking for something that doesn't exist, simply because they really want to connect with people. I think at the foundation of hunters is connection. Even your lone wolves, like even your D'Acquistos, even your Andy Mays, these guys that go off and do it by themselves in the woods, they still have a circle of friends. It might not be big, but they're sharing stories with somebody, right? They're talking to somebody about this kind of thing. And I think that we're going to provide a very carefully curated experience for people. And so one of the things that makes us different is that you are wholly responsible for the impact of your comments. We have got a general rule in the group that you have to act like men. We only build each other up. We never tear each other down, right? That's the rule. And because it's text, because it's a written format, people can misconstrue things. And if you end up overstepping and diminishing somebody's light in the deer woods, you're held responsible for that. And we so far, we've only had one troublemaker so far, and I think we've handled that. But this group is meant to build up. When you build friendships and you want to tease and goat and have fun, go for it. But if you're coming to a group looking to take a crap on something, some form of hunting or something, or something like that, or you're looking to get a rise out of people, this isn't your group, man. Like this is going to be an old school. Think of it as a new take on the old school forums that we used to have. I remember people getting booted off of those routinely for just being buttholes. And this is kind of what that is. If this isn't the place for you, so be it. And I don't want it to be an enormous group. So like somebody asked me the other day, and it's a great question. He's like, how do you scale this? I don't want to scale it. Like there is a terminal point in which this will hit. This is not going to be social media for everybody. I'm okay with slow, steady growth of the right people. in this group. I don't want it to be millions. I don't want it to be hundreds of thousands, right? I want this to be a small group of people who can build each other up and be present for each other. It's digital deer camp. It's meant to replace the lack of community that we can sometimes feel in person.
And then how is it being policed? Like, let's say that you do have someone that's a disruptor or whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, and I mean, do you have digital tattletales? I mean, like, what's the...
Yeah, pretty much. So we've got a bunch of moderators. So we've got people who believe strongly in the mission of Digital Deer Camp, and they've been given delegated moderating duties, and they moderate that group. I'll also say this: when you have a group of like-minded men who agree to a code of ethics, they self-police themselves. You see it all the time, where somebody will say, like, "Dude, I really don't know what you're getting at with this," and that person will back off, be like, "Whoa! It was an attempt at humor. My bad, dude. Congratulations on the deer." Right? It doesn't need much policing. Like, we're there in case it gets out of hand because we're all human. But dude, I open the door, I throw in a topic grenade, and I come back like 8 hours later to see what everybody's been talking about. And we have some really, really passionate dialogues with some people that are way smarter than me contributing to it. We also don't talk about any politics, period. We don't talk about religion, period. It is meant to be a hunting group. We do talk about conservation topics, but it is not a blue and red or green or yellow topic. It is simply what is best for the resource. And then we have a call to action group in there, because I do believe we have a conservation responsibility as well, which is kind of one of the cool things is you start to see people organize. And that's something you can't really do very easily on Facebook.
So I'm just thinking of like the policing aspect of it, because it seems like, I mean, I'm just thinking of like, antis and, disruptors and things like that. But I don't know.
I mean, you have to also remember there's a paywall here, right? We charge $5 to be a part of this. So that eliminates... It separates the wheat from the chaff, if you will, right? There's not a whole lot of people who are willing to spend $5 a month to hackle somebody, right? So to date, to be completely transparent, we have had 150 people sign up, and we have had one person intentionally come in and try and run rampant in the group. We've had people overstep and make mistakes because everybody's fallible, right? Like, people have delivered stuff poorly, but it just doesn't need much policing because of those reasons.
Okay. Yeah, like I said, I'm just trying to think about like how it could go wrong, or what what would be the issue. And now like a peek behind the curtain, right? What does it look like when you get in there?
So there's two tiers. There's the $5 tier and the $10 tier. And the $5 tier gets you access to an old school forum with a new take. There's voice chats in there. It's a Discord server that we have set up with some specific features. It's got sub forums in there, so everything's divided by general topics, and then you have the ability to go into a forum section. So we just implemented what's called a gear forum. And so the more routine questions are expected to be posted there. That way people can go back and search and find the dialogues. Otherwise, these run on like big group text threads, and there's no structure. Sometimes that's fine, right? Like the deer contest that we have. So we have a deer and a turkey contest every year. Those can just be threads because the thing just evolves, right? But if you need some structure so you can find things, we've implemented that. And so the $5 tier is a Discord server. There's some changes coming to that I'm not going to put out here, but we are working on our own take on a mobile app. We'll leave it at that, right? We've got some very grand ambitions for what the interface will look like, but for now it's a Discord server. And we might keep it that way, but I think we've got a vision for how this could play out that's a little broader, more involved, I will say. So then the $10 tier gets you access to everything in the $5 tier, but it also gets you access to our Marco Polo small group, which is kind of like Snapchat for adults. is the ability to chat with each other. The listeners of your show know about this as well. You have a Marco Polo group. And it's another way to get involved. Some people aren't comfortable putting their face on a screen, and I get that, which is why we don't offer that for everybody. Because then you'd be paying for something you don't need. But it's a great way to connect with people. And I'm going to tell you something, dude. The most rewarding experience that I have is to watch current and former members find relationships with other guys. There was a group of like 16 dog hunters that were up here in North Florida the other day. Most of them found each other through the Chasing Tails Patreon group back in the day, right? They're now hunting together for the foreseeable future. Some of my best hunting buddies came from that. And you see guys who've never met each other getting together to go, like, I'm in a personal contest with a guy, whoever kills the biggest buck, there's consequences, right? I was leading for a while, so somebody's like, "Hey man, come hang out with me. I'll put you on a big deer." Doesn't know the guy from anywhere else in this world, and now they hunt all the time together. That's community, man. I want to be that catalyst for people.
Yeah, and I'll 100% wholeheartedly agree, and that's, again, for me personally, we talk about the whole deer and intentions and whatever, aspirations, like that's all, and I think both of us, all you want to do is to share the passion that we have with,
that's right,
with other people, and to do it with the right reasons. And I feel like you do it long enough, you'll find the right people,
Yeah.
Even if they tell you, piss off, kick rocks, I won't help you.
It's not what I said. You took it too far. You took some creative license there. That's not what I said in the slightest.
Oh, I wasn't talking about you.
Okay.
I'm sorry you thought about that.
Okay.
So, for the digital deer camp, so where is this? How do you find it?
Yeah.
Where's the secret password?
So, it's still hosted through Patreon. And the reason for that is, Patreon allows us to do some things that we would have to have our own site in order to do. And so for right now, tier phase 1, we are on Patreon. So you can go to patreon.com/digital deer camp. And that'll get you right to where you need to be. If you want to participate, and we've got 2 free tournaments we do every year, contests, a deer and a turkey contest. If that interests you, turkey season's right around the corner. That's a great way for you to get signed up. We structure ours in a way that anybody can participate. Ben Harrison's one of our Patreon members. I'm not saying anything negative about him, but 99% of people don't stand a chance in the bow hunting league, and there's nothing wrong with that. It serves its purpose. Our tournaments are set up in a fashion to connect you with people, but also make it to where you have a reasonable chance at actually participating and winning. So, like, for instance, in the deer contest, a doe's worth 2 points, a buck's worth every time that's over an inch, right? So it doesn't matter if it's a 160 or a basket rack 8-point, right? You just contributed the same amount. And so the point is that if you go out there and you kill deer, you get a chance to win. So you can sign up for all of that. Turkey contest is going to open up registration here in about a couple weeks. We'd love to have you over there doing that. And so Patreon gives us the ability to do some live stream events with our members. It also gives us the ability to host videos that we can't put on YouTube. So we've got a butcher in the group who has created some videos for us in the past. YouTube will flag them. We can post them right there to Patreon. Ultimately, there is going to be a podcast again. It's going to be the Digital Deer Camp podcast, but it is going to not look anything like what I've done in the past. It's going to be ad hoc. We're going to do interviews with people from Digital Deer Camp. We're going to talk about current events and topics that are kind of bubbling to the surface that we think maybe may serve a broader audience. And it's probably going to be a lot of monologues in there, right? It's not going to be like, hey, I'm going to have Jake Bush on to talk about thermal hubs and microfunnels on the eastern side of a moss growing slope, right? Like that stuff is just, it's out there, right? I want to talk about guys getting together and having community and sharing that passion. So Patreon gives us that platform all in one space. The fees that they collect from the dues allows us to host an RSS feed. It allows us to do all that in one place. We have aspirations to have our own app and our own website in the very near future, but that's like phase 2 and phase 3 probably. We need to get membership up to handle those escalated costs.
Cool. Well, I mean, it's been really cool to see this whole thing, come together from, shoot, I don't know, over a year, at least, from saying, okay, well, I don't think anybody's coined this term. Like, we need to, do something, move on it. And then, we're talking to these people. They have some sort of similar ideas and yada, yada, yada. And then finally see it come, to fruition. And now to have the trademark and to kind of be putting it out there. So that's super cool. So, you guys are doing big things over there. So congratulations. Kudos to you.
And I want everybody to know my indifference towards this is the same as during the deer woods, right? If we get to 150, well, we're already there. If we get to 300 people, and that's the biggest this group gets, but we get to connect people with other people and we get to see those adventures and we all build each other up. Okay, 300 is where it hits. Like this is not intended to become Facebook. It's intended to stay small. We don't want this to be the group that everybody is in, because that means everybody's in it. And there's a lot of people I don't want. I am okay with this taking 5 to 7 years to get to the point we want it to be. We're going to find the right people. We're going to get them in that group. And I think the other thing we're going to do is we're going to do a trial as well. So I set up in Patreon the subscription where you can do a free 7-day trial. I think if people see what that community is all about, it hooks them. There's a lot of curiosity, but people don't want to put money on the line, and I appreciate that, especially in today's economy. So we've got a 7-day trial coming down the pipe that if you're interested in, just hang tight. But also, if you get in there and you don't like it, I'll give you your money back. Like, I promise. You get in there and you don't like it, you can have your money back. I don't want you to be disgruntled. So there is no risk. I'll put that into writing. If anybody who's listening wants to shoot me a message, I'll tell you to your face, I'll give you your money back. I've done it for several people who you could just tell weren't a good fit. They didn't do anything wrong. This just wasn't, like, their humor didn't land. What they wanted from the group didn't land. And I was like, hey man, like, this just isn't going to work out. I'm going to refund you your money for the past couple months, and why don't you find a different group? And it ended on good terms. So, yeah, I want the right people to want to be there, and then it'll hit where it needs to.
So other than like podcasts and things like this, are there socials? I mean, how are you getting this out there? Is it just word of mouth, or what's the?
Pretty much. Yeah, it's pretty much word of mouth. At some point we're going to have a social that we're going to put out there. The problem is, if I'm being honest, it's work to create content for it, right? Like, it's
what do you put on it?
Yeah, exactly, right? Because I'd just be taking other people's content and putting it out there. So what we're going to do is we're going to have a social media handle, and it's going to show kind of what camp is, right? We're going to post reels from this upcoming deer hunt. So we host a turkey and a deer camp every year where you can come hunt with us. And I'm not hunting this trip. I'm just going to be, camp chef. I'm going to be cooking for everybody, camp bitch, if you will. And we're going to have a big cookout on Saturday night. And 35 guys are going to descend upon camp, and hopefully people kill deer, and tall tales are told, and stories are embellished, and God, I hope somebody misses, because those are the best moments ever. So, we're going to post reels from that. But the problem is this is going to spread via word of mouth, right? One of the things that we're going to also implement is a referral program. So if you refer to us a member that joins, we're going to give you back your fees as well, because ultimately this only grows when somebody talks about it. So we also have a digital deer camp Facebook group that we're going to use to kind of recruit people. We're going to post a lot of our deer contest submissions in there and whatnot, and try and get a dialogue going. But I mean, it's only going to work if people want it to work. And we got a hell of a lot of stuff. Adam, you know what it's like to have a bunch of big visions and plans. It comes in phases, and it's going to be a lot of fun. But yeah, dude, it's going to be word of mouth. It's going to be super underground. But I want it to be that. I really, like, I've gotten so many questions since we announced this. Like, well, how are you going to keep this feeling feeling like the right people. It's like, we're going to not broadcast to everybody. Like, we're not going to go out there and say this is a place for everyone, because it's not. Kind of weird thing to say.
No aspirations needed. No aspirations welcome. Intentions only.
You know, the funny thing is,
you take your aspirations and go home.
I have seen what I would consider the most aspirational people become very intentional in that group through the encouragement. I think there's a lot of people who just need like a little bit of encouragement, and then suddenly they're just out there getting after it.
The world moves fast. Your workday, even faster. Pitching products, drafting reports, analyzing data. Microsoft 365 Copilot is your AI assistant for work. Built into Word, Excel, PowerPoint, and other Microsoft 365 apps you use. Helping you quickly write, analyze, create, and summarize. So you can cut through clutter and clear a path to your best work. Learn more at Microsoft.com/M365 Copilot.
At Planet Fitness, we've got everything you need to get stronger, with best-in-class equipment and free fitness training, so you can give everything you've got. Join today starting at just $15 a month. Planet Fitness, we're all strong on this planet. See Club for details.
It might help you to join the group, Adam. Have you thought about that?
I feel like I was in the Patreon group, and I think my credit card just got changed, and
Still
it just
active.
didn't.
You just don't participate.
Oh, well. I'll tell you what, your Marco Polo group was like, I forget where I was going, but it was just like, there's 400 conversations, and like, they're all from the South, and I can't understand what they're saying.
Yeah.
Boomhauer is on there, and I can't understand what these guys are saying. So it's difficult for me with my northern vernacular.
We've got a really cool new product right around the corner for to replace Marco Polo, and I'm super excited about it, man.
Oh, I thought you were going to say that will translate Southern dialect to.
You want to have fun? Turn on the AI transcription when they're talking. It is something else, dude. It's hysterical. It'll translate it into like Arabic, dude. It's wild.
Yeah,
but you know, we haven't even talked about this. We have a turkey hunt planned. You and I have known each other for 8 years, digitally.
Yeah. So, and you know, he talks about his Kentucky hunt. He hornswoggled us. He put in for a different hunt. Went down there, and I'm very happy. I don't even think he saw a deer. It made me so happy.
Terrible effing hunt.
It was awesome. It was great.
Terrible. So what happened was Adam and I made plans, and then I put in for a quota that I didn't expect to draw. And then everybody told me that I drew something I wouldn't draw very often. And so I was like, oh, I'm going to make a big deal out of this then. And then turned out it's not that hard to draw that tag. And also the hunting sucks. So, yeah. I should have hunted with Adam. Anybody's wondering here, if you have a chance to hang out with Adam, it's probably the right call.
He found a big shed and saw one deer in 6 days or something.
It was terrible. I came home early. You know how much it takes for me to quit on a hunt that I've traveled 10 hours one way to do? No, dude, that was brutal.
I don't know. You went home intentionally.
Intentionally.
There
were no aspirations.
He was like...
And then I came home to Florida, and I saw 7 deer the very next morning while it was raining. I was like, yeah, why the hell did I drive to Kentucky? This is stupid.
Yeah. So, I forget what the conversation went, but like my wife was like, well, how far away does he live? Like, is there any hunting open? And I was like, well, there's turkey season. We talked about it last year, but it just didn't work out. And she's like, you should go. Like, he never goes anywhere. He just stays home. Like, he doesn't
Your
travel.
wife has such a low opinion of me.
She doesn't think you're real. She probably thinks you're a Florida man and you're on a tether and can't leave the state.
Yeah. I kind of am. I'm definitely tethered. No, this is going to be cool, man. You get to stay in the new she shed.
All right. Yeah. So, I mentioned it to Frank, and I was telling him about, the demeanor of the turkeys down there, like you were saying. Mm-hmm. And, we'll see how it all plays out. But, Yeah, it's just a couple hours away. So go down there and hunt for a couple days, and if it's not 5-star guided, and
it will not be.
I want breakfast every morning. All the things.
You can eat your aspirations for breakfast.
I mean, he and I have a different expectation for the turkey woods. Like I mean, there's so many turkeys up here. Like I can't even walk outside without hearing a gobble. Like we better have one at full strut, like right at our footsteps, right at our feet, where we're saying, we don't shoot jakes on the first day.
We don't
That's
shoot jakes, period.
Please.
We don't shoot jakes, period, or I'm not taking you where I'm going.
We're shooting them all.
No. The good news is we don't see jakes very often anyways, so it doesn't really matter. It's mainly a gobbler hole that we're going to. But
yeah, I forgot that was a thing in the South where nobody shoots jakes.
Nobody shoots jakes.
We'll shoot them all.
We don't have enough birds to sustain it. You guys have got turkeys. You guys have got turkeys out your butt. Down here, there's just ain't that many turkeys. Our flocks are hurting.
Well,
but y'all have to like give up your Social Security card, your firstborn, apply for 2 hours of any given weekend to then be able to hunt them. And it's like, yeah, of course you got turkeys everywhere, dude. Like if y'all don't hunt turkeys, it's the biggest shenanigans I've ever seen.
Yeah, they switched around our seasons a little bit this year, so it's a little wonky. We'll see how it goes, but they're kind of. I haven't really looked into it. I glanced at it when I heard that they changed the regulations, and it appears that there's like a 1 week difference between all the rest of the seasons and the like wide open state season, which is usually like a whole month off. So usually there's like the whole first month is like draw, and then the month of May is like the 237 hunt or whatever, 234, the peasant hunt, like the leftover hunt. And then, but now it seems that it's just like 1 week. Like it's like the draw hunts get 1 week, and then after that, it's a free for all. Mm-hmm. So it'll be interesting. And maybe it's just because they want to kill more birds. Maybe they just weren't getting the harvest that they were looking for late.
How many years does it take to draw up there?
So even if you don't draw a tag, you can buy the over-the-counter one. It's just for time. So like for like in the past it had gone by weeks. So like I could put in for like the first week of these different sections. And so that's public land. So in this area of public, then you can draw and you hunt the first week or the second week or the third week. And then after that, then above a certain line, the entire state is open to the public or private. And then below that line is just private. But you on that same tag. And then on that, you can buy a ZZ tag, which is like the entire season below that line, only private. So it's just, we have weird seasons, but like even if you didn't draw, you could just go back and buy the over-the-counter one. You just have to hunt the end of the month or the second month.
Well, we need to get, so I'll put you on a bird down here. You help me knock Michigan off my list.
Oh, that won't be difficult at all.
I'm not using the bow though.
Yeah, it won't be difficult at all.
I didn't know if you had bow seasons or something like that.
No. We just, so if we like really hunt turkeys, like it could be over and on the first day, just depending on how hard you hunt them or whatever.
Y'all have too many turkeys.
With a shotgun, and that's why we hunt them with a bow, and I just shoot at them with the bow, I guess. But it doesn't matter, like public, private, like wherever. I've yet to have my daughter shoot one, but we've been in them, like that whole like hearing them gobble thing. Like, we had one hung up like 80 yards in front of us, just hammering the one night. And we just walked in the woods, the spot where I was going to hunt, where I knew these birds roost. Some other guys, I saw the guys sneaking in there. I saw where the truck was parked, and I was like, Stell, we got to come up here. I think there's some guys in there already. We walked up to the field and glass, and I could see them sneaking across the field. So I was like, we got to go somewhere else. We walked back in. We got to the spot where there's usually birds nearby. I hit the call one time, and this bird just hammered, and I was like, oh my God. So, and she was like freaking out because that bird was right there. And he just wouldn't commit. He wouldn't come out in the open. But it was exciting. And, you would have had a successful hunt.
One gobble. I say that to people all the time. They think I'm crazy at them too. I just don't care. If I hear a gobble, man, I live for that. I'm going to take my boy out in about 2 weeks. It's going to get just warm enough that I think we'll be able to hear him. And I'm fortunate that I live very, very close to a piece of land I get to hunt turkeys on. And so my boy gets up almost every day at 6:30. It's terrible. But for turkey season and for this purpose, it's amazing because I'm going to have a bag of snacks packed. We're going to walk down there. It's a 2-minute drive from my house, about a 5-minute walk. And we're going to see if we can't get him to hear a turkey. And Elena says, hey, what are you going to do if he talks to you? I'm like, what do you mean? She goes, what if the bird talks to you? Like, isn't that going to ruin your hunting if like you talk back to him? I was like, I don't care. And she's like, what do you mean? I was like, I will take a camo blanket. I've got like a North Mountain Gear. It's an amazing ghillie blanket. I was like, I will wrap he and I up next to a tree, and I will call that bird straight into my lap so that Walden gets to see it. And she's like, really? I was like, I don't care if I don't kill or see or hear another bird the rest of the year. If I get that experience with my 4-year-old, absolutely. Because right now I can go yelp, yelp, yelp anywhere, and my son, you'll just hear him. La, 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 la. He just makes the noise, man. He just ate up with the idea of it. I was like, could you imagine if he has a tom at full strut in front of him, just losing his mind? Dude, that kid's going to be hooked for a life. I don't have to worry about drugs, women, or sports for the next, 10 years.
Yeah, this one might be more expensive.
It's true. Although turkey hunting is about the cheapest thing I think I've ever gotten into, ever.
I don't know. Not if you try and hit them all. I mean...
You only get 2?
No. All the states.
Oh, yeah, no, for sure. Yeah, that's when it starts to get expensive, for sure.
Yeah.
I think it's a challenge enough to fill your tags in the South in the state you're in, which is always my focus. I can't easily bring myself to leave my state until I'm either out of season or out of tags.
Yeah, I don't know. It's adventure. You need the adventure.
It's true.
But I don't know. Well, I'm like I say, I'm looking forward to it. But you calling to Jake, I don't know. It just went off.
Yeah,
I was cleaning it and it went off.
What are we gonna do in the afternoons? Are we gonna go fishing?
Sure.
Okay.
I don't know. I don't fish, but you can show me how.
Don't fish.
I mean, I guess is it going to be for something that's not available in Michigan?
Yeah, everything that lives in the saltwater.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Who fishes freshwater? That's for the poorest, man.
I don't know. I heard the South, these people these bass, big bass. Like
man,
blah, blah,
I
blah.
can't catch bass to save my life. I can't.
I grew up with a bass pond in my backyard. It was anytime you want to catch fish, just go back there, catch them all day long.
I had places like that, but around here, the water gets so hot by the time I'm thinking about fishing that those fish are just deep, and it's almost impossible to get them out of those lakes. But inshore fishing, man, that's where it's at. So if we don't chase birds in the afternoon, we'll definitely go down to the coast and wade fish.
All right.
Uncle Frank fishes.
Oh yeah.
I know.
Oh yeah.
I know.
He's all about it. So
maybe we can shoot a bird in the morning and catch a redfish that night and do a little surf and turf.
Let's do it. I'm in, man. Well, thanks for coming on here and
yeah, buddy.
It was
Pissing
fun.
off your audience?
No, come on. They all aspire to be just like you.
I hope not.
All right, man. Thank you, sir.
You got it.
What is natural? When you read natural flavors on a label, most people don't realize it's often not real food at all. Those hidden ingredients quietly work against how your body feels and functions over time. That's why Just Ingredients uses only real food ingredients, so you know exactly what you're putting in your body. Stop guessing. Start knowing at justingredients.us.